All right, what's going on, guys? So in this video, I'm going to take you through some training. So this is one of my upper body workouts. When I'm bulking, I like to do more so upper lower splits. I find that more effective for getting in extra volume without too much overlap. So I do workout A, workout B, workout C, workout D, and I rotate it on an 8-day rotation. So I always have a day of rest. I never train consecutive days because when you're natural, you just won't have that recovery ability. So always take a day of rest between training. It's going to allow for better strength gains and therefore better muscle growth. So you guys will see this is one of my upper body sessions, more so focused on the bench. So I have two upper body days. The other one's more focused on overhead press, kind of more shoulder focused, but really my primary lift is the overhead press. And then for this one, it is the bench press. So that's really how I talk about, that's really what I promote with my training, is always having that key lift. So each one of your sessions should always have a key lift. So for me, and what I really recommend for most people is having those key lifts as your squat, bench, deadlift, and overhead press and weighted chin up. So I'll throw in my weighted chin ups on my squat day just so I can keep good performance on it. But yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. So I always have a key lift where I'm really striving for improvement, getting stronger. Those are kind of like my indicator lifts. And then it's always followed with like accessories or supplemental work afterwards to fill in those volume gaps. So a lot of the volume I promote is kind of like, somewhere in that optimal range is, 10 to 20 sets per week per muscle group, but I like to stay on that kind of lower end because I just find it allows for better strength gains. Like when you're really pushing that the pinnacle of the optimal range, like the top end, your lifestyle has to be perfect. And while my lifestyle could probably handle it, I just find I keep better strength gains kind of staying in that 8 to 12 sets per week kind of range. So I used to promote a lot of lower volume stuff, but now I'm more so focused on kind of that moderate volume, because when you train with a bit more volume, you don't necessarily have to take your sets to failure. Because I used to train to failure a lot, but it's just counterproductive. You don't need to train to failure. Studies show staying like 1 to 3 reps from failure produces the exact same amount of muscle growth. So you're basically just fucking yourself up, banging yourself up, accruing overuse quicker for no extra benefit. So a lot of my training, I leave, a rep or two in the tank. But yeah, you guys will see this workout. It's gonna be a dope workout. Now let's get into this training. All right, guys. So you'll notice I'm not taking any pre-workouts. Okay, I don't fuck with pre-workouts. Pre-workouts are a waste of money. They're gonna kill your gains. I swear to God, they're gonna kill your fucking gains. Don't take pre-workouts, guys. What pre-workouts do? They make you push past what you can actually recover from. And when you're natural, especially, it's really about more so about what you can recover from than what you do as a whole. So if let's say you're right in that optimal range of volume, but you can't actually recover from it, you're actually going to grow less from it. Okay, so that's what pre-workouts do. They pretty much, like fitness influencers, they like to sell you pre-workouts because their programs are shit. The training volume is just way too high. There's way too much shit going on, and you simply couldn't get through the workout without some sort of stimulant. So it's like these guys are fucking drug dealers essentially. They're drug dealers. They want to sell you on these supplements that are going to stimulate you, get you through the shitty workouts, and you'll make less gains as a result, guys. So just, stay kind of focused. Like I drink a little bit of coffee before I train. Just get a little bit of caffeine. But don't take pre-workouts. They're a complete waste of money. Some of the natural pre-workouts, like I guess, like I still wouldn't spend money on it, to be honest. But some of the natural ones may obviously be better, but still, just save your money, guys. Especially if you're a young guy, like don't spend your money on pre-workouts. There's so many better things you could be putting your money towards, like better food. Like that's gonna do way more for you than a fucking pre-workout. Just save your money on that stuff, guys. You really don't need it. The supplement industry is pretty much bullshit. Like any sort of amino acid, pre-workout, all that stuff is just a waste of money. So, and they're actually gonna kill your gains. I swear to God, guys. So just stay away from those. It's gonna make you push past the limits of which you can recover, and it's gonna detract from the fact that you're not following proper programming. All right, so I'm starting off with some warm-up sets on bench. This is my key lift for this session. All of my sessions have a key lift. So for this upper body workout, it's the bench press. For my other upper body workouts, the overhead press. And my other days are squat and deadlift focused. So, way too many people kill themselves on their warm-up sets. You just slowly want to get yourself ready for those work sets. So I do like 50% of my first working set for 5 reps, and 60% for 4, 70% for 3, and then 80% for 1. And I rest about 2 minutes between those sets, just slowly getting myself ready for that heavy set. So all of my primary lifts, I do reverse pyramid training, but it's not typical reverse pyramid training where you're pushing like AMRAPs and you're pushing to failure. It's more so just like really focusing on that first set, that progression, and then just doing the back off work, getting extra volume in, but not really pushing it to failure, like just keeping some reps in the tank, but really prioritizing the first set. So this is my first set. It's 230. I got 5 reps. Last week I got 4, so I hit a PR, which is solid, but I'm definitely down quite a bit of strength. So over the summer, I kind of had to deal with a couple little injuries, and I was eating in a deficit, trying to stay leaner at the time. So, that was a potent combination to lose quite a bit of mass and strength. So I'm building myself up. My bench was at like 245 for 5 reps at one point. So definitely lost a bit. Let's see, I rest about 5 minutes, and then I dropped the weight about 10%, go down to 205, and I got a couple more reps. So that's really how reverse pyramid training works. I recommend it only for the key lifts. So for my squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and weighted chin-ups, I like to use it. Everything else is just straight sets across. So it's not super effective for for all exercises, but for your key lifts, I find it amazing. Because for these key lifts, you want to always do heavy work followed by back off work. That's always the most effective for natural lifters. So I dropped the weight another 10%, rested 5 minutes, and now I'm doing 185, and I got 10 reps. So, starting with the heavy work ensures that the following back off work is more effective, because that first heavy set recruits upper threshold muscle fibers, and then throughout the back off work you're actually using more muscle fiber recruitment than if you just started with those light sets. So it makes the following back off work super effective, and it builds more myofibrillar growth, which is more dense muscle growth than sarcoplasmic growth, which is like what a lot of bodybuilders have. It's just that puffy fluid look in the muscle. So yeah, this type of training builds really dense muscle growth. It builds the contractile proteins of the muscle. So I dropped it another 10%, went down to 165. Should have dropped it more because I only got 8 reps, but whatever. I was sapped already at that point. So then I went into some rows. This is like probably my favorite row variation. So since I do pretty heavy deadlifts, I don't do as many barbell rows anymore off the floor, just because it kind of hurts it hurts the recovery of the lower back. So I like to do a lot of supported rows like this, whether it's like incline dumbbell rows or like the croc rows like this. So this is super effective. You got to hit your rows, guys. There's no row that's really a bad exercise, to be honest. Like, all rows have a place in your training. Like they're just king for building that back thickness. And like rows are super important for building that thickness from the side, and they're honestly better for overall back development than weighted chin-ups or weighted pull-ups. Weighted chin-ups and weighted pull-ups really target the lats and the biceps, but for overall back development, rows are super key. So I just do 4 sets of around 10 to 12 reps. I'm not super strict with the progression and the reps here. It's more so just to get a good pump, get some good volume in. So, your first primary key lifts, those are what are going to build the majority of your strength and muscle mass. The rest of the work in your training should be more so just to get in that volume, get in that metabolic fatigue. So each workout for me, this one starts with bench. My other key upper body workout starts with overhead press, and then I have a squat and a deadlift day. So those are my key lifts. Those are the lifts that are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Those are the ones you should always be striving for improvement on. But the rest of the work should just be accessories and supplemental work that you use to bring up, weak points, either performance-wise in those lifts or just visually. So, this exercise does a really good job building the back, the forearms, the biceps even. Super effective movement, so I'm just getting good volume in here. And then afterwards, I go into incline dumbbell press. So everyone's always like, what's the best exercise for a muscle? And the reality is, the best exercise for a muscle is 2 really good exercises. So multiple studies show hitting 2 exercises for a muscle group is more effective than one. Especially, I really love to combine barbell and dumbbell work, just because you hit like a set amount of muscle fibers with the you hit a good amount of tension with the barbell, and then you can get in more work. You can kind of hit those muscle fibers that didn't get hit quite as hard with the barbell than with the dumbbell. So that works better with upper body exercises, but you can even do it with lower body. Like, I like to use goblet squats a lot after my barbell squats and so on. So I find that super effective. Pairing a barbell lift with a dumbbell lift is super effective. So, what's kind of fucking retarded about how people use dumbbells is, like, they'll do incline press with the dumbbells and then they'll take it to 90 degrees. And the reality is, like, you use dumbbells to get that stretch reflex. So anyone who's like half-assing the reps like that is kind of stupid, and might as well just stick to the barbell training, because this is more so to just get that stretch reflex in and go a bit lighter. So you don't want to ego lift on your hypertrophy work, guys. So this stuff's nice and light. Like, I'm only using 65s, kind of just doing 10s. I find 10s are super effective for back off work, like for supplemental and accessory work, just to get an extra volume and pump work. Because 10s kind of hit that perfect sweet spot between, metabolic fatigue and tension. So they hit that nice sweet spot between sarcoplasmic growth and myofibrillar growth. So they're not so high to where it's just pump work, and you're still getting that tension because the reps are kind of in a moderate range. So yeah, just getting some reps in here. So this builds more of the upper chest, gets a bit more volume into the chest. So you don't really want to go above 5 to 10 sets for a muscle group in a workout. Going above 10 sets for a muscle group in a given workout has shown to yield less results. So I like to stay in that kind of 5 to 10 sets per muscle group every workout, and kind of hit that like 10 to 12 sets per week, even up to 15 sometimes, like total for each muscle group per week. So now I'm just going into some curls. I'm not huge on bicep work, to be honest. Biceps have like the lowest potential of growth with like out of any muscle in the upper body, really. So when I do it, I like to do hammer curls, just because it brings in that the radial brachialis of the forearm. So it gets in. It's more like it works multiple muscle groups, as where supine work just kind of works the biceps and isolates it. So for overall efficiency, you want to stick to mostly multi-joint movements. So like this type of work I'm really not strict on. As you can see, I'm not using super strict form, and with the rear delt flies as well, just because at the end of the workout you're just getting in some pump work. It's not your primary lifting. It's just there to get in some extra volume and some metabolic fatigue. Like, you're not striving for improvement. You want to see an upward trend on these lifts, but you're not striving for improvement like I would be on my bench press or my squat, deadlift, etc. So it's just to get that extra volume in. And but yeah, I like hammer curls because they build the forearms. They build that kind of thickness from the front. And rear delt flies are super solid. So I'm just doing like sets of 12 here, 4 sets of 12 on the hammer curls, and then like 3 sets of like 12 to 15 on the rear delt flies. So yeah, I like rear delt flies a lot for the rear delts. A lot of people don't know that any sort of rear delt exercise also works the side delts really well. So any movement in which the rear delt is the primary mover, also the side delt's a primary mover. So that's super important to realize. So yeah, this is a pretty good workout. It hit some good PRs, but that's how I do a lot of my training, guys. So I start with that primary lift, that heavy work, and I just finish off with accessories and supplemental work. So those key lifts are what build your strength and muscle. That first really heavy set is where you should be striving for improvement, and then everything else is really just to build that muscle. All right, guys, so that's the workout for you. Hit some fucking solid PRs, so pretty happy with that workout. Is overall pretty solid. So I'm just about to cook a little meal before I head off to work. Show you guys what I'm eating quickly. So I'm gonna make some steak. I'm gonna have some fruit with that, maybe a couple carrots, and maybe some oatmeal. That should do it. So yeah, that's how I structure a lot of meals. Probably some avocado with it actually. But that's how I structure a lot of my meals. I actually came up with a pretty fucking cool system for simplicity's sake of like tracking your calories and how to structure your meals accordingly. So a lot of my meals start with like similar amounts of protein. So you always keep a protein source for each of your meals, and then you kind of build the following foods around that protein source. So like if I'm having, let's say, steak, like right now, I'm gonna fill it with a carb and a vegetable usually. Or if I'm having fruit, then the fruit will usually just take care of the carb. So most of my meals are kind of structured like that. That's the overall best diet for fitness is, lean animal source protein, and fruits and vegetables and nuts. So a lot of the foods I eat are like Greek yogurt, walnuts, lean meats like steak, chicken, avocado, broccoli, carrots, all sorts of fruits and vegetables. But really the base of each meal is a protein source. So whether it's eggs, steak, chicken, the rest of my meal is built around that. So I try to have, some vegetables with that. And then if I'm having vegetables, I'll throw in another carb source, whether it's potatoes or rice or even beans as a secondary source. Or if I'm eating fruit with that, then that'll usually just cover the carb source and the vegetable. So that's kind of my little structure for creating meals. And it's super easy because you don't really even need a track because you know what's in the protein source. And then, fruits and vegetables are super easy to track. So then you end up only really having to track like your carbs or the calories from your carbs. I don't recommend tracking macros, guys. Fuck tracking macros. They're all pretty much interchangeable anyways, so it really doesn't matter. Just as long as you're eating a whole foods diet and you're getting enough micronutrients, your protein intake is going to follow. It's if you're eating, the foods that I mentioned, it's going to follow. You're not going to be low in any protein. And that's really how I structure it. So I'm going to have some steak here with some avocado and maybe some fruit or some oatmeal. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Plenty more content coming from me. This channel is really dedicated to teaching you how to build your natural physique. So how to reach the pinnacle of natural physique, reach the the pinnacle of strength, the pinnacle of muscle development, functionality, health, everything. I really want Polarity Fitness. My goal with it is just to make it the go-to source for natural lifters. That's really what I'm trying to do with my content. It's just I want this to be the number one place where natural lifters go to really build their physiques and reach their potential. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to link below my free guide to natural strength and muscle building. And you guys can check out my articles. You can sign up for my newsletter for new updates and such. And I will talk to you next time. Take care.